Welcome to Getting Real with Real Estate with Danielle Kempf and Jim Kempf, St. Louis's favorite father-daughter real estate team. Your source of real estate information in the greater St. Louis area.
All righty. Here we go.
Let's do this. We got another podcast coming up.
What's going on today?
Not too much. It's kind of cold in the office.
Yeah? Okay.
But we're staying warm.
Right on. All right. So,
what's the topic of the day today?
So today we're going to talk about iBuyers, instant buyers, some internet buyers. I think a lot of people call them. So we're going to talk about them a little bit today, just kind of what they are,
what they offer.
I think a lot of people don't really know or don't understand them. Maybe We're going to find out.
We're going to find out.
We're talking about.
We're going to give you our 2 cents on them.
But it's a podcast, so we need a joke. So you got a joke today?
I do, and I like this joke. Okay. You don't necessarily like this kind of joke. But what genre of music do realtors listen to?
Oh, jeez. Not EDM, I hope.
You are so close. They listen to house music.
House music.
Which isn't EDM music. Good job there, Jim.
Great. Oh, yeah.
That's my favorite kind of music. Jim doesn't like my music, but that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, that's a whole different. Yeah, don't get me started. All right. So an instant buyer, what the heck is that, right?
What is that? You got a definition, don't you?
I do, from Wikipedia.
We'll
give a little shout out to Wikipedia. An iBuyer or an instant buyer is a real estate transaction model where companies purchase residential properties directly from private sellers to eventually resell them.
Makes sense.
Sounds pretty simple, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But how do they do that, I guess, right?
Well, that's a good question.
So when I think of iBuyers, or right, the big internet ones, I think of 2 in particular. Should we name them? I guess it doesn't matter, right? They're the biggest.
Yeah, we can name them.
Open Door and what was the other one? OfferPad, right?
OfferPad.
They're kind of the 2 big players, I think, in the market. There used to be others.
Yep, Zillow, and I think Realtor.com, was it? Or was it Redfin?
I think Redfin and Zillow. They were in it for a while. They got out of it.
Yeah, I think early 2020s.
Something like that. It started out kind of be popular. It kind of got bigger, I think, around COVID, right?
Yeah, but it was around before then.
Yeah, I think probably a few, 3-4 years maybe? Probably something like
20,
that.
Yeah.
Don't know exactly, but anyway,
in that range.
That kind of
Since
process
2015,
started.
I would say.
Yeah, okay.
Around that year.
And so I guess.
Well, you were in the business.
Yeah.
Did that affect the business any?
Well, that's funny that you ask it that way. Honest to God, a lot of real estate agents thought that it was the end of the real estate agent when they started hearing about these iBuyers, because they were going to, they're
going to buy your home cash.
Advertise online. People were just going to, log in and sell their home, and everybody's going to be out of a job. And people actually bought that. A lot of agents believed it. I never really believed it, but people were like, ew, but
we're still here.
We're still here and bigger.
They're still there.
And still rolling bigger than ever. So, I guess the premise, right, of what they do.
Yep. You can Google online, and then there's hundreds of them. You can go 3-4 plus pages through Google, and they're all saying a ton of different things. But the process is pretty simple. I mean, fairly simple, I guess, in practice, where you submit an online inquiry.
Yeah.
It's an online analysis. You put in some basic information about your property. I think you'll probably touch on this a little bit later, where it uses like data, just, I guess probably the same thing that the Zillow Zestimate does to figigure out a value for your property. Yeah, pretty much. It's all online. I'm sure AI's in it now, right? Yeah,
I mean, whatever.
It's everywhere.
But it's I don't understand all that stuff. But
once you do like your online inquiry, then eventually you do like a video walkthrough, or you have like they have a local rep come through, walk through the property. Yeah. And then that's when it starts getting not so easy, maybe.
Yeah. So let's back that up just a touch, right? Okay. So the first part of it, right, is if I'm a homeowner, I jump online and I put my address in there and, hey, I want a cash offer, right? So their little model, right, and there's all kinds of automated valuation models, like you mentioned, like the Zestimate and all that stuff, right? So it's kind of based on that stuff. But they don't really know a lot about your house, right? They know a lot about averages.
Yeah.
They know, like,
They know what's happening in the market around you.
Yeah, so they know that stuff, and that's pretty simple, I guess, right?
We can do that.
Computers do that all day long, right? And so they can spit out a number and say, hey, I'll buy 123 Main Street for X.
Okay.
Right? And then, but then like you just mentioned, you got to take that a step farther, right? So now they want people to take pictures or something, right?
Yeah,
take
like
picture, take video.
Or like a local
house.
rep comes through or something. They have different ways of doing it.
Yeah, so I think probably, but most of them probably start with you just download, right? Upload, download, whatever. Throw some pictures at them, right? And then they take those and then look at them and say, okay, I see outdated electrical panel in the picture, right? So what are they going to do about that? Guess what happens?
Condition adjustment.
Your offer just went down. You don't know it yet, but it did. But I right? That's fair, I guess. But,
yeah.
But
like, kind of, how are they supposed to know that just on an online inquiry?
Right. And so they'll go through that whole process, right? You submit all your pictures, and then we'll do that. And then, of course, and maybe this is not everyone, but the ones we've been experienced, like we've had some clients who started off with this process one time on a sale, and then their representative has to come to the house.
Okay, yeah.
Just like you said, right? So guess what? Online transaction just became not online.
Yeah, now you got people coming into your house. Well, true.
Right? So they come in and they do the same thing, but they probably nitpick you a little bit more.
Okay.
And they come up with their list. And then that's probably when they tell you they also have a fee that they charge you.
Probably.
Other than just like, for those repairs, they're going to charge you for those. But then they also base a lot of their revenue model is just on charging fees.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So, because they got to make money somehow. I guess. But in that, to me, it kind of goes against everything they tell you. Oh, you don't have to have a real estate agent involved. You don't have to pay commission. You don't have to all that stuff.
Yeah, but then you have that fee. Or I was looking at one where it says, like, there are no fees. But I'm sure they bake that into the offer price. I mean, they got to get their money somewhere.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And I guess there's a difference, too, between, like, some of these, like, investors who have the same service, right? And some of the bigger companies, like the Open Doors and, right, Offer Pads of the world.
Yeah.
But they kind of go with the same model, at least for starters, I guess, right? But like Open Door will tell you on their website that they make their money by fees, right? So they just tell you right up front, hey, that's how we stay in business, is we charge your fees, which I guess is fair because they are providing a lot of convenience for people.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing about the iBuyers. It's the convenience of it. And the quickness, maybe, depending on who.
Yeah, they tell you they can close in like 2 weeks sometimes.
Yeah.
Which is pretty fast. But, I mean, in a lot of cases in our business, people close that fast sometimes. It's usually
if it's a cash deal, probably about 2 weeks. But, I mean, if it's like, if someone's getting a loan, like 30 a month.
Yeah.
But you probably have stuff to move out, too. So a month really isn't that long of a time to move everything out.
Yeah, right.
I mean, 2 weeks, how much stuff can you pack in 2 weeks? It took me a month just to move.
That might make people more stressed about the process. I don't know. But that's to your point, though. That is fair. They do offer a lot of convenience and a lot of and maybe a little more speed than a traditional transaction.
Going through a real estate agent. Yeah.
And I think that's fair enough.
That's fair to say. Yeah.
So, and that's worth something to people.
It is.
I guess it just depends on how much is that worth to you.
Yeah, that's a good question. But you okay if I start diving into some of the things
that
I want to do?
Yeah.
So, like, my first thought was like, well, if you're a home buyer, where do you even, or seller, if you're selling a home, and maybe we're talking to like some of the different properties that like people do. I mean, it could just be your primary residence and something came up, you need cash quick. Could be a distressed house. They'll buy properties with tenants in them. They'll buy like probate houses. They buy everything.
Yeah.
But say you have a house to sell and you look up Google iBuyer St. Louis, Missouri. And I can tell you, because I did this the other day, you can go through like 5 pages of Google and you're going to see everything from highest cash offer around, get a cash offer in less than 10 days, we beat any offer, 30-minute offer, we want your home for cash.
Yeah.
I mean, my first thought was, So, you're selling a home. You probably want at least highest dollar. You want as much as you can. Best terms for you. How many of these companies are you going to have out?
That's the thing we've always every person that we've ever helped in a situation where they're trying to sell a home. What's the one thing they almost always want? They want the most money they can get, right?
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Everybody does that. And some of I think a lot of the ones that on your list too are maybe investors too, right?
A couple of them were investors. A couple of them were the iBuyers. A little, if you look up iBuyer, you get a little bit of everything.
Blurs, right?
It does.
It kind of blurs because everybody has an online price now. It seems like, right?
Yeah.
I mean, really. Even
there's some big teams here in the St. Louis market who will buy your home, if it doesn't sell, type thing.
Yeah, for sure. So who do you? I guess.
How do you start by picking the company?
That's a tough one.
That's a tough one.
Who do you trust?
Who do you trust? Yeah. How many companies are you really going to have out? I mean, how many times are you going to submit the application, take the photos, you might only have to take one set of photos and videos and you just upload them to them all. Right. But how many, of the local walkthroughs are you really going to have out? And then they're going to give you a number and you're going to look through, I don't know, say you just did X many iBuyers. You're going to look through all those bids, compare the bids, negotiate. Well, I don't even know how much negotiation there is in those.
There's probably not a whole lot, honestly.
Probably not.
I mean, unless, if you play them against each other, I know that happens. Of course, people do that.
There you go.
Hey, somebody else
But again, that's just taking time out of your life.
Yeah, that to me would add a lot of stress into the transaction. If I was like a home seller,
But Jim, it's quick and hassle-free.
It sure sounds like
That's what they say online.
It does sound like it.
If that's what they say online, it's got to be true, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is, I guess.
But I mean, there are like some pros, no showings per se where you're just having realtors and other buyers coming in, but you're still showing your house to these iBuyer representatives.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
So you're still, you are still showing the house.
Yeah.
I mean,
and you don't have to necessarily clean.
No,
but I mean, you don't really have to. We've been in houses where they didn't clean anyway.
We don't care about that. We look through. They ain't
we
been
can
in
see
my
past
house.
that. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think it all kind of goes back to there's really just a couple things that they ought to, in my opinion, right? Is it does seem, well, I don't know. You just made it sound not very convenient, but it does seem convenient. It seems that way.
Yeah.
And I think maybe the points that you just brought out make it maybe not as convenient as a lot of people think it is.
Yeah. It just, I mean, I guess it's more so a matter of how many bids do you want.
How much time do you want and effort do you want to put into that? That's a really good point.
How much exposure do you want it to have? I think we use that word a lot as listing agents, exposure. For us as listing agents, we're trying to get as many eyes on your property because that increases the chances for it's selling.
Well, and there's, I think, a common, to me, this, you kind of led me to this.
Okay.
There's a common misperception, I think, for folks when, especially, I think it's especially like when a home's maybe a little bit like really dated or maybe a little bit deferred maintenance, those kind of issues with homes. And they think that they have to fix everything and it's got to be perfect to sell it, to get top dollar. And it really doesn't.
Not necessarily.
And again, like the iBuyers, especially the big ones, will tell you up front, we're going to ding you for repairs.
We're going to pay you a fair price, maybe not necessarily a market value price.
Yeah, but it'll be fair to them. But will it be the top dollar for you? And when you're dealing with one buyer or one entity, you're probably not getting top dollar. Where the difference that we can help people with, I think, by listing properties as is you really don't have to fix them. But because of the exposure that you just talked about, we can put that in front of more people and get you more competition and therefore driving you to the highest possible price given the condition of the house where you don't have to fix everything.
Absolutely.
That's what I would share with people. I think there's a lot of misconception about that with folks. So I hope maybe that clears it up a little bit. I don't know.
And I'll just kind of tie in. I mean, you talked about like selling as is. I mean, I think it's just about expectations. If you do decide to list the house, it's just about setting the right expectations to potential buyers up front. That's kind of all it is. But I mean, if you've tried selling your home, if you've been on the market, and you just can't sell for one reason or another, then maybe, an iBuyer could be a good option for you.
Yeah,
they're out there for a reason. I mean, there's still, I don't want to say big players in the market. What was your
percentage?
I mean, I think a lot of people think that they're a really big percentage of the market.
Yeah,
when in reality they're just.
Thanks for reminding me on that. That's good because, and this kind of goes back to the comment I made really early about when these kind of companies hit the market where agents like freaked out and they thought, oh my God, we're going to be out of a job. So in 2022, I think is when iBuyers kind of hit their peak of the market. It was 1.3% of the market is the numbers we found. I guess it depends on where you get your sources, but that's what we found online. And then I think you mentioned bank rate is where you found that last year.
2024.
In 2024, iBuyers represented somewhere around 0.5% to 1% of the market. So that's a pretty, I think, minimal number. Yeah. So there's still 99% of the pie out there. And so there's a place for it, and I think that's what that proves.
Yeah.
And this sounds like bashing, I guess, but it's funny to me that one of the and I won't name names here, but one of the biggest iBuyers in the world, and there's only a couple left, so you could kind of probably get close to figuring this out, but they haven't made $1.
No.
In the whole time they've been in business.
I know, it's kind of wild.
So at the root for me, it's like that's just like their business model. There's got to be something wrong. So
someone's making a lot of money though.
But somebody's getting paid.
But not
a lot
everybody.
Of money. Yeah, whoever owns that company, good for him. I mean, he's less smarter than I am, obviously, because he's probably a billionaire. Yeah. But hey, whatever. They're losing millions of dollars a month. So I kind of chuckled when I saw that their earnings per share was negative 42 cents a share last year, but whatever.
We won't talk about that.
Yeah, that's just me. Anyway.
But I mean, so like I'll wrap it up here if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about selling a home and you just don't know what your options are, say it's an inherited house or a distressed house or even just your primary residence where you're living right now, if you're looking for options, we're more than happy to come sit down with you, talk over those options.
That's awesome.
Maybe an iBuyer might be a good option for you.
I think that's a very good option to talk to people about, but I think they need to have the expectation of what that's really about.
Yeah.
And we're happy to share that with you. Everything from the iBuyer to, getting you listed and sometimes people want to do repairs and
what's the biggest bang for your buck?
Top dollar, so we can help you through all that stuff and just give you those options and
we're here to help answer any questions you guys have.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome.
So all right.
Is
that a good sign off?
It's as good as I can think of. Good job.
Well, we'll see y'all next time.
All right, take it easy.
You've been listening to Getting Real with Real Estate with the Kemp team. Have questions about real estate or something you'd like to discuss? Contact the Kemp team at 314-336-1926 or visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/the Kemp team. Don't want to miss any episodes? Follow us on your favorite podcast app or YouTube. The Kemp team. Real, honest real estate.